That night, rain poured so hard it blurred the streetlights into trembling stars. Daniel pulled his little boy closer under his coat as they hurried home. His son's small hand clung to his, but his eyes kept wandering to a figure on the corner, a woman, soaked to the bone, sitting on the pavement with her head bowed, shivering. Daniel would have walked past. Life had already been hard enough, losing his wife in a hit and run, juggling 2 jobs to keep food on the table, and facing judgment from everyone who thought a single dad was too broken to raise a child alone. But his son stopped. "Daddy, she's crying," the boy whispered. Daniel looked again. She wasn't just crying, her whole frame trembled with quiet sobs. He noticed she wore no shoes, her toes pale against the cold concrete. Without thinking, he knelt beside her. "Miss, are you all right?" She looked up, startled. Her eyes screened, but guarded, searched his face for something. "I'm fine," she lied, her voice barely a whisper. "You're not fine," Daniel replied gently. "Come on, let's get you out of the rain." "I don't want trouble," she muttered, but his boy was already tugging her hand. That was how it began. Daniel took her to his small apartment, gave her one of his late wife's old sweaters, and set a plate of warm food in front of her. She didn't say much. When he asked her name, she hesitated before murmuring, "Anna." He didn't press for more. For days, she stayed quiet, helping out around the apartment while Daniel worked. She was good with his son and gentle, patient, telling him bedtime stories that made the boy laugh again. Daniel couldn't remember the last time the house had felt so warm. But the neighbors whispered. They called her the beggar, said Daniel was a fool to let a stranger into his home. He ignored them until one day, his boss overheard and called him into the office. "You're bringing shame to yourself, Daniel. A single father living with some homeless woman? You'll never be promoted here. People talk." That night, Daniel thought about asking her to leave. But when he saw her asleep on the couch, his son curled against her, he realized she had become family. He couldn't lose that. Then came the night Anna disappeared. Daniel came home to find a note on the table. "Thank you for everything. You gave me back my dignity. But I can't stay. I don't belong in your world." His chest tightened. Days turned to weeks. His son asked for her every night. And Daniel began to believe he'd imagined the connection they'd shared. Until the day he was called to a hotel ballroom. He didn't belong there. Polished floors, crystal chandeliers, men in tailored suits. But the letter had been clear, "Come to the Willow Grand, 7 p.m. Bring your son." He stepped inside, and froze. Anna stood at the center of the room in an elegant emerald gown, her hair falling in glossy waves. Cameras flashed. People whispered. "Daddy, it's Anna," his son cried, running to her. She knelt, hugging the boy tight, tears glistening in her eyes. Then she looked at Daniel, her voice trembling. "I owe you the truth." Daniel's world tilted as she explained how she was Anna Harrington, heiress to one of the largest fortunes in the country. How she had run away from a cold, loveless life after being betrayed by the man she was meant to marry. How that rainy night, she had been ready to give up until he stopped, until he saw her as a person, not a problem. "I was the woman you saved that night, Daniel," she said softly. "Not because of money, not because of pity, but because your heart is good. And her voice broke, I want to spend my life proving I can be worthy of that." Gasps rippled through the crowd as she took his hand. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "Anna. I'm just a single dad. I've got nothing." "You have everything," she interrupted. "Integrity. Kindness. The ability to make a stranger feel safe. And that's worth more than every dollar I've ever had." The months that followed weren't easy. The media called him a gold digger. Her family tried to buy him off. But together, they faced every challenge, because they had built something stronger than wealth, trust. On a spring afternoon, in a quiet garden away from cameras, Daniel knelt and asked Anna to marry him. She said yes, tears in her eyes. And his son, standing beside them, grinned from ear to ear. Anna didn't just become his wife, she became the mother his boy had longed for. And Daniel didn't just gain love, he learned that the greatest wealth isn't in a bank account, it's in the people who choose to stand by you when the world doesn't. So if you've ever been told you're not enough, remember this: sometimes the greatest blessings come from the moments you least expect, when you choose kindness, even when you have nothing to give. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today, because you never know whose life you might change with one small act of compassion. Daniel didn't know whether to breathe or run that night in the Willow Grand Ballroom. Everything about Anna, the way her eyes found his in the crowd, the way her smile was tinged with both joy and fear, made him feel like the ground beneath him was shifting. They didn't get a chance to speak alone until after the speeches were over, the guests had been fed, and the chatter had died down. Anna led him and his son through a quiet corridor to a small lounge. The door clicked shut behind them, and for the first time in weeks, they were face to face. "You vanished," Daniel said, trying to keep his voice steady. "No goodbye, no explanation."